Okay, here's our Illustrator demo for our icon symbol set project. And I have a couple things here. I have one of the icons. Thank you, Michaela, for letting me borrow one of your icons. I don't know, does this need to expand? I don't know why it's creating a box around it. Michaela, can you email me this file? I don't know why it's creating a box around it. You said this is oh, actually maybe that's why. Maybe there's a
Yeah, sure. I've gotten stuck in like that box thing before too, though. It's something to do with Illustrator, not the file. But yeah, I can just email it to you.
yeah, I'm not sure why there's a box.
Try
Yeah,
looking
if
in
you
the
could email,
layers. Try looking in the layers, see if it's there.
I will do that. Let's see. Nope, it's all on, well, maybe. Only one layer. So yeah, maybe just send it. I don't know what it's doing. Sometimes when it does this, it needs to be expanded, but we've expanded it. So, all right, so we'll come back to that. So we're gonna look at one of our icons. And then the other file you have, and this is in our assignment folder, is this Project 4 symbol set banner. And these are the two sizes of the banner. So while I'm waiting for that, let's start with the banner. So when we're ready with our icons have already been developed. We've created some patterns. We're going to start thinking about our banners. So what I want to do is open up this banner template, and you'll see there's the portrait and the landscape banners. I'm working on the portrait, so I'm going to make sure that in my artboard and in I'm on the portrait banner, and I can also open up my layers, which shows me they're already open. Am I just not seeing them? Artboard. Oh, you know what? They were on another monitor. It's when I have two monitors. Sometimes things float over to the other monitor, then I don't know where they are. Okay, here they are. So I have layers. I'm going to call this one my portrait. Banner art. And so for portrait banner, I'm sorry, I didn't want to say art. I wanted to say grid, sorry. Because I'm going to organize a grid for this. So if we go back to, and I'm going to quickly just open this up so we have it. Oops, wrong thing. Let's get into, there is, this is what I'm, no, why is this not giving me, oh, here it is, content. I want to go into the symbol set and look at our project brief. Because if I look at our examples, right? One thing, oopsie. Okay, sorry, this is acting so, there we go. Okay, so I'm looking at the banners and I'm seeing that there is a grid that all of these icons are laid out in. So if I come back to my Illustrator here, I can say, okay, I know we're doing a 5x7 portrait banner, and I'm going to align that using my align tools, and I have that aligned right here onto my artboard. I'm going to go into object, path, and I'm going to go into split into grid. Now, I like this feature for my layout because I can do a couple things. I can decide how many rows I want. So I'm going to say I want I want to get 5 rows, and I want to keep uneven numbers because I think they're more interesting. 3 columns. Again, you can change it to anything you want. Gutter means space between the blocks. So the example I shared doesn't have space between the blocks, but that doesn't mean you don't have to. And I'm going to show a preview so you can see what's happening. I can add guides and I can add preview. So if I have no gutter, that means it's just looking like this. But if I want to add gutters, I can add gutters. And I'm going to move this over so you can see it. And I can decide, how big I want them. Do I want them all the same or different? So this gives you those options. So that's just something to think about. Okay, so for right now, I'm going to say no gutters at the moment. I'm going to say okay. And then I now have, I had them add guides in, so I can actually, I have the guides there. I'm going to now create another layer. And this is going to be my layout. Now I know I have 10 icons. So this is where I can go in. I'm going to go back to my layout here and decide. I get rid of the black lines. Wait a minute. I get rid of the guides. I'm going to get rid of the guides and just use this for a minute. There we go. I'm just taking sections out to kind of think like I might want one of my icons really big there, and then maybe I want two smaller ones there. And then maybe I want a long element here. Maybe I don't want to take out the whole corner. Like that. So I might want one there, 2, 3, 4. I have a horizontal element, 5. And then maybe I want another big one here. No. Maybe I want 3 like that. And then like that. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Then I can think through. Maybe I want to go smaller with one of them. Do something like this. So I can start kind of mapping out what I want my design to be like. And these are, just using rectangles. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9. Oh, I have 9. And then I'm not going to worry because I think that's good, because I think some of my patterns might have more than one icon in them. So they might not be, I can still get all 10 of my icons. And every banner doesn't have to have the same. So this is my one design. So I'm liking this. So I'm going to leave this. This is going to be my guide for when I lay out my design. Does that make sense for everybody? Did you all catch the way I made that and how I started editing it? Let me see the chat. I got one yes. Is everyone with my one yes?
I actually kind of got lost in the whole break it into a grid part. Like when I pressed object, there wasn't an option for the other thing.
Let's do it one more time. That's why I'm asking. I think that's a good point. So let's do it again on our other grid here. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to create another layer. So I'm in my layers. I'm going to create another one, and this is going to be my landscape grid. Okay. Here's my landscape grid. I'm locking my other one, so I'm in my landscape grid. So I'm going to draw a rectangle the size of my artboard. Okay. Then I'm going to go to Object, Half, Split into Grid. And then there's going to be a little box coming up. I'm going to go ahead and click preview so I can see it as I do it. So now I'm going to say rows. That's the, you know, the across. I'm going to say 4 columns. I'm going to say I'm going to do 6. Yeah. Okay. I'm going to say, okay, I'm not adding guides because I think the guides got in my way last time. So I'm just going to go like this. So now I'm in, and here, these are all active little squares. So I can select them and delete them. So I can select them and delete them. And I deleted 2 to create a single module. So I think these are basically modules. This is a modular grid. And I can start taking away modules to address where I want bigger spots to put things. You want to have, you know, kind of think about a pattern or rhythm that things are going to have. So I might be thinking, I want this top quadrant to have this long, thin rectangle. Maybe I want a single here. Maybe I want a double there. So I'm just going to pull that around across. So I'm just editing this grid to kind of start thinking about, I know I have some patterns and icons, and I can decide how many elements I want on each of my grid to make it interesting. And I'm just going through and making those edits. I want a bigger spot in this bottom corner. And pull this all out. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I'm going to take this one out too and make these all like this. So yeah, maybe this is my other design. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So I have 11 quadrants here. Okay. So that's kind of the way I'm seeing my 2 banners maybe kind of being organized. So those are my 2 banners. And then I can lock down those grids. And then when I get into my layout, so I can call this, let's do L1 layout. I'm just kind of giving myself an idea of where I want to do things. So now just perhaps I want to go in, take my rectangle tool again, and now I'm on a layer floating above the grid. Actually, before I do this, and maybe I would have a palette, but I don't have one set up yet, but let's imagine I do. And I can kind of start thinking about the way I might want to color block my design. And start building and, you know, laying in my color. And then my objects will go on top. So I'm going to pause here. Does everyone, and then you can see the color I put on a separate layer. My grid is still there. Are we all clear on how to make the grid? So once more time, you're going to use your rectangle tool.
Sorry, is there like a template for this in Illustrator, or how do we get, I'm sorry, I feel like I probably should have known this by now, but how do we get 2 pages right next to each other?
It's already a template for you. And so if we go back to the assignment brief,
Okay.
project 4 symbol set, it's right there. Symbol set banner template AI. Key 4 symbol set banner template AI. That's a good question. And then right below that is the assignment brief. The template AI is labeled template. Okay, yeah. Catherine.
So I'm trying to figure it out on iPad. I'm just gonna let you know. I'm gonna try to look into it tonight because I think it's completely different. And then if I can't find it, I'll message you on Slack. See if maybe you could figure out how
Oh,
to.
for the template. I mean, for the
Yeah,
sorry, for the grid tool. Okay, that may not be on the iPad. So
yeah.
another way, I'm going to show you one more way you can do it if it's not there though. And because
Okay.
I don't know that it is, I'd have, remember that article I shared with you in the resources? Take a look at that and that'll tell
Yes.
you for sure. But another way you can do it, and I know you have this in the iPad, is rulers. So for example, I'm going to turn that off. I'm going to turn this off. Let me do another one. So I'm going to do another one where if I was going to use rulers. So if we didn't use the little grid tool, there's two other ways. One is the way I just showed you. There's another tool in the toolbar, which you may or may not have on the iPad, and that's the rectangular grid tool. And you select that and you pull it out and it gives you a grid. There's that tool, which
There
you can
is a
select. Go ahead.
there is a grid tool, but I think from what I can see, it only lets you cover the entire screen in grids. It doesn't let you like pick just a specific area.
Got it. Okay. So the other way around that could be is using your ruler. You do have a ruler, I think, right? In yours? And it
Yes.
lets you pull guides off the ruler. So if you click on the ruler, can you pull a guide over like that? And like this?
The ruler just it goes like on the top and bottom of the screen.
Yep, just like mine. If you can see my screen, like, can you click on the ruler and pull down a guideline?
Oh, I think so.
You see how I'm
Okay,
just
I
clicking
can do
on
it
the ruler and
horizontally. Oh wait, yeah.
okay,
Yeah, it lets you do that.
it lets you do that. Okay, good. So, and that works on both. So for that, you can click over here on the ruler and you can pull guides over. And so you're going to do it a little bit more manually than I was just doing it, but you can use your ruler to say, okay, I'm going to have, I'm going to pull these rulers over, and you can use, they can be 2 inches big or an inch big. You know what I mean? You can decide how big you want them and then pull them down from both ways, how many directions I want to go. Okay. And then once you have your grid that you've pulled out from your rulers, you can then take your rectangle tool and draw your boxes, if you will. And we can just make them outline boxes over your grid lines that you've just created. And then you can even decide as you're drawing, you just draw your boxes how big you want each one based on your grid that you've done. Like you might say, I want to have this box be my biggest box. So I'm going to make that go over 4 modules or 6 modules and so on and so forth. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
As a workaround? Yeah, for my
Yeah,
iPaders.
yeah, that works just great.
Yeah, that should be pretty work pretty well for you. And then you can
Mm-hmm.
just, I did mine very quickly, but you can do yours more mathematically. Like it's going to be 1.5 inches each increment or something. You know what I mean? And then go from there.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. Good questions. Okay, so that's how we can build one using the grids as well. So, and the nice thing about Illustrator is there's always more than one way to do things. So we're never really stuck with doing things just one way. All right, I'm just going to download. I had folks send me some downloads, so I have some icons that we can play with. Let me get these. Why is it doing that? Maybe I need to open it. File, open, downloads. Okay. Okay, good. So here's the palm tree, palm leaf. All right. Okay, so here's one of the icons. So let's say this is an icon I have. This is Michaela's palm leaf. And I'm going to make a pattern. And you can make a pattern with any of your icons. And so the way I'm going to do this is I'm going to go up to Object, and I'm going to go to the Pattern and Make. And voila, a pattern immediately happens. Now, this is the default. And I don't want it, like, it's not very interesting, right? What I've done here, not very interesting. So let's look at some options. We can take and go under where it says tile type, and I can make it brick by row, which kind of zigzags it a little bit more interesting. That's a little better. Brick by column, right? Hex by column, hex by row. Okay, so let's say I'm kind of liking this, but I don't like the overlapping or what have you. So I can do a couple things. I can adjust the space and talk about how big I want it. So I'm kind of changing the spacing here. I'm going to go 3. I don't want them touching, or maybe I want them touching a lot. Maybe I want it to be real, like, overlappy, right? That might be
Yeah,
a
we
bit
take
much.
this in digital graphics, so I know it.
You know it. All right.
Yeah.
Awesome. So, you can go nuts, right? So you can adjust the size to whatever works for you. And you can, like I said, check and play with the different arrangements. So once you have it where you want it, you can, I'm gonna pull it a little closer. There we go. Once you have it where you want it, you want to name it. I'm going to call this Palm 1. And I'm going to then say enter. And now this is going to be in my swatches palette. So here it is right there in my swatches palette. So it's not a file that I can see. So I'm going to go off of here. So there's my original. I'm now, in order to use it, I'm going to take and create a rectangle. And I'm going to grab my palette, my pattern, which is in my swatches palette, and I'm going to fill my rectangle. Do you see that? So the bigger I make my rectangle, the bigger it fills. Okay. So this is like for if we just did our grid, for example, cancel. Okay. So I'm going to copy this. I'm going to go over here to my banner. And now I'm going to go over here to view. I'm going to hide my guides. They're kind of a little obnoxious right now. Hide guides. Okay. I'm going to go over here to my banner. I'm going to go to my portrait one. I'm going to add a new layer. This is going to be my art layer. And I'm going to paste my pattern. And notice that when I paste it over here, it comes in my swatches over here. So I'm going to go like this. I'm going to go like this. And then you might be thinking, my pattern is too big. I'm not seeing enough of my palm leaves in my banner. Like, that's not working well. So we want to go ahead and adjust the scale of our pattern. So pattern, we want to go to edit pattern, and we want to go ahead and adjust the, oh wait, I'm doing it the wrong way. Hold on, undo. I want to adjust this, I want to change the scale, and I'm going to go to scale tool, wrong tool, scale tool. And I want you to, we need to get to the options. We're gonna, scale tool. That is not what I want to do. Hold on, I'm having a moment. It's not the scale tool, I want the properties. We want the properties. All right. I want to change the property of the scale of our pattern. And I'm just having a moment because things have moved a little bit with this new update, and I can't remember where I need to go. So maybe it's transform. Ah, there it is. It's transform. Sorry, guys. It's transform. I knew I would remember. Pattern only. So you want to click on this pattern only. Okay. And now we want to scale it. I'm going to make it smaller. Point 0.25. Oh, wait, sorry. 1, 1. There we go. So I'm taking the transform and I'm reducing the width and the height. I was accidentally doing the X and Y. The width and the height to get it to the scale I want to see in my banner. So I'm going 3 inch by 2 inch, whatever I'm planning. And I can constrain the width and height proportions or edit them. I can do either. I'm constraining them so they're staying consistent. And I'm going to go, I can go keep going down to get it where I want it. Okay. So that's the way you can adjust your pattern once you've built it. You can see how small we can get it. We can keep going. so we can transform it that way, and we can also rotate it. So if I'm like, I don't like it up and down like that, let me make it a little bigger so you guys can see it. I'm just undoing. Okay, and then I'm also going to transform it where I can change the angle of it. So you can also rotate it, right? I can rotate it at a different angle. So, now I have it at a different angle. And so all of those things I can do once I've, built it. I want it to go up and down, so that's better on an angle. The angle is more interesting, I think, right? And then I might be asking myself, I just don't like where it's cropping. So I can hit the, okay, I have to remember now. Option? Nope, not option. Undo. Nope, it's the tilde, isn't it? I think it's the tilde. Nope. Yeah, it's the tilde. Hold your tilde key down and you can move the pattern within the box so it lines up where you want it to line up. You see how I'm doing that? I'm just holding the tilde key down, and it allows me to adjust where that pattern sits in the square. Okay. Any questions on patterns? Luna?
For backgrounds, do you still just have to make like a square behind the initial pattern in order to make like a background color, or is it different
Well,
now? Like, have they changed it?
you can do a couple things. That's a good question. Background is a great question. You can do a couple things. You can decide to do, let's just make a background. I'm going to go to Object, Arrange, Send to Back. You can just create a separate square. And that the one thing that's nice about creating it as a separate piece, not built into your pattern, is you can change it up. So the nice thing makes it real fast and easy. Let's say I want to use this pattern 2 different ways in my design. In one of the ways, I want to use it. Oops. Oh, I don't want to change the pattern. Am I still in transform? Oh my goodness. Let me start again. If I want to use my, there we go. There's my pattern. And I want to use it one place the way I've done it here and put a blue background. Let's just put a blue square behind it. Or, and then I want to use it somewhere else. Let's say I want to use it here and I want to make it really kind of big again. And I don't, and I want to use, maybe not that big, maybe, oops, undo. Oh my gosh, look at it, keeps getting bigger. The runaway pattern. Okay, let's say I'm using it this way. It gives me that flexibility really quickly to say, oh, I'm going to do this one. I'm going to add a range, just send it to back. You know, and I can switch out the background color real fast with just having them be separate color blocks that I slip in and out. But to your question more exactly, if I want to go back to my pattern making, let me get rid of this. Let's make a pattern, and let's say I want my pattern to have a color. I can just put a color behind my icon, grab them both, and then go Object, Pattern, Make, and it'll just make it with that color background. And then I can do all the things that I had done before, you know, switch it up. Okay, great question. Other questions? And then you'll see it's here in my swatch again. So if I'm ready to pull it up, I just select my swatch and there it is. Same thing if I want to now have this. So recognize if I go over here, that new swatch isn't in here. I literally have to, I'm working on my swatches on a different artboard. I literally have to copy the pattern in a square, like I made a square and I'm just copying the pattern in it, copying it, coming over to my banner and I'm pasting it. So now this is in my, this is now coming in my banner. Okay. So another thing I wanted to share with you is, okay, is this, let me get rid of these. Let me open another file. Okay, these are Chitong's beautiful icons she's working on. So I'm going to bring up these and we're going to look at making a pattern with more than one icon. So if we look back at our at our project, I want to share with you. You can see, you know, in some of these, they use the same icon over and over again. And some of them they mixed and kind of made little kind of patterns with multiple things happening. So I'm going to show you a way we can do that as well. So let's say we're taking multiple elements. I'm just going to move a few things around. I'm going to use our boat, our gondola, and our gondolier here. And I'm going to add, I'm taking our guy here. I'm going to go to the circle shape, and I'm just going to add, make these blue, make little blue dots. And I'm just copying them, pasting them. Oopsie. Okay. It's kind of looking like he's in a bubble bath, I realize, but we're just pretending this is looking more like water bubbles instead of like bath bubbles. Let's just assume. Oh dear. I'm gonna make, all right. And so then let's see, I'm gonna make him maybe this guy is brown. And maybe this guy is dark gray. We kind of got it up. So I'm really showing that you can make your patterns also have more than one color, as you noticed on our little example that I gave us. I'm going to adjust the scale of my little bubble. Oopsie. I didn't grab the whole thing. Let's grab these. Adjust the scale. Anyway, so let's have a few more things. I'm trying to think if I had a few other things happening. Well, that might get too busy. Let's just start with this. So this is going to be our guy. A couple ways we can do this as well. We can also make it, so we can do the pattern. There's another new feature. This is a new feature called repeat. And it allows you to do repeats in a radial, a grid, a mirror, various options. I'm going to do a grid. And I'm going to show you, here's what it looks like to do a repeat in a grid. And you can move it this way. You can move it this way. These are all the new ways. This is a new feature within. So I'm going to copy this. I'm going to go over to my banner. And I have one of these long areas. And I'm going to bring in my little gondola repeat. I can adjust the way they are aligned by this little guy here. I can adjust how close together they are going this way, right? I can adjust the scale going this way. So this is a kind of a new, super kind of cool feature that's much more editable than the pattern. It goes, you know, you can edit things much quicker than you can with the tried and true pattern feature we've had all along. So this is kind of a really cool new way to create repeating patterns. So I can quickly say, oh, okay, I see where I want this. I want to fit this in my, and I don't want to have them cut off in a weird way. So I can adjust the spacing. So I can say, okay, I can fit you know, I can fit 4 boats perfectly in this space. And then I can decide if I want to bring in and out a background. Oopsie, that's my other pattern. Let's open up our swatches, window, swatches, and I can open up a color and go object, arrange, send to back. And there's, you know, I can also put a gradation back there, or a solid color, or I could put another pattern back there if I wanted to get really crazy. So it kind of gives you lots of choices on what you want to do. So let's assume that's what we want. And so that new kind of repeat is an awesome new feature that you can see lets me really get in there and get it the way I want it. I'm gonna go green. Okay. So that's does everyone follow on that, or should I do it again?
Can you do it one more time?
Yeah. So let's go back to my, where did I have it? Okay, here we go. Time, but I just realized where we're at time. I didn't realize it was already 6:20. Okay, so let me show one more time. I will also put these videos up on YouTube for you all to watch. This time we'll do a speedboat. So we're going to take our speedboat. I'm going to just quickly give it a color real quick. Oh, it looks like it's not made as a compound yet. So we'll just leave it the way it is. We're going to go like regular the way it is. We're going to go to object. We're going to go to repeat, and I'm going to go to grid. I'm just going to pop into a grid, multiple versions of our boat. So I'm going to grab it, copy it. I'm going to come over to my banner, and we're going to arrange it right in the banner. I'm going to Command V, paste. So I'm pasting it in. And so you notice there's these features on the these little the long rectangular elements let you change the width and height of your box, right? And then these little arrows that go left and right allow me to adjust how close together my boats are or how far apart. Now, notice though, the thing that we can't do here is everything stays on a grid. It all stays in a column. So unlike what we did with the palm tree, we can't do brick layout, hex layout, all of those kinds of layouts. We can just do the grid layout in this with this tool of a grid repeat. So it's better for things, if we go back to the example, it's better for things like this little guitar, like a single object that you just want to repeat multiple times. It works really well for that. But it won't work well for a brick pattern or some of these other patterns. You still need the pattern tool. So I think the key is each tool has its use. So for like these boats, if I just want a row of boats on my layout, like this could be a really great tool for a row of boats. I can space them how I want them. Let's see, I'm going to say I want them bigger. I can play with the scale and the size. Let's say I want the boats going along the whole bottom of my design. I've decided I'm going to make them go the whole bottom of my design. I can end it here and let's go pull it up. And then I can now adjust the spacing and the position of my boats and get them, you know, where I want them, you know, so on and so forth. I can make them a little smaller so I can get the full boat in. I want the full boat a little smaller. There we go. Now I have my full boats. and I would have them, you know, fill the bottom of my banner and put a color behind them or something. So that's what the object repeat grid tool is great at. And then the object pattern tool gives you much more flexibility with, and as you can see, you can do multiple objects and create a pattern. It doesn't have to just be your one icon. You could add a pattern within a pattern. So I want you to really play with it, explore it, explore layering things on top of each other. All right, I'm going to stop here as we are out of time.